Great. Thanks everybody for joining us. Good morning. I believe most of you know who I am at this point, but just for those who may not, my name is Joanne Bohegian. I am the Vice Chair for the Board of Directors in Foster City for the Chamber of Commerce. And we are joined today by several of the members of our board who are obviously business owners in the community as well. We want to be able to make this time spent with you all the most valuable for you. What we would like to start off with is an introduction to Dante Hall. I believe most of you will know Dante. One of the primary areas that we wanted to concentrate on for this morning's call with you is the new relief funds that are available to small businesses in Foster City. Many of you over the course of the last 2.5 weeks have been learning about the various forms of financial relief that are becoming available from the Fed and other vehicles, the SBA, et cetera. But this is unprecedented and extraordinary. Monday evening, the City Council in Foster City approved funding specific for Foster City, in particular for businesses and seniors, as a first measure to create a bridge for our hyper-local community, while each of you are doing all you can to take advantage of the extended relief opportunities that are available to each of you. This is not intended to be a one-way conversation. Some of you, I'm sure, are getting tired of hearing me speak. This is intended to be an open Q&A for you. But what I would like to do is, if you would, please use the chat for any questions that you have as we go along, if so moved. We also haven't had a chance yet this morning to check to see if any of you had shared any questions with us on the form that we had provided to you. So we'll take a quick look at that. And with that, what I'd like to do is invite Dante Hall, who I'm looking for his face, but I'm not seeing it. So Dante Hall, the Assistant City Manager, to be able to share with you all the program that was approved Monday night, to do a brief overview of its intention and process, and then really be able to open this up to each of you for questions, whether they be for Dante, myself. We have Bart Charlo on the line as our resident in-house expert as it relates to community and nonprofit, and as it relates to the rest of you as businesses, questions as how we can support you, as well as if any of you have any excess capacity, how each of you may be able to work or leverage each other. So with that, I'm going to invite Dante to share with us the wonderful news that was determined Monday evening.
Great, thank you, Joanne. Good morning, everyone. What City Council did on Monday was really take kind of a close look to see how people have been impacted by COVID-19. And they decided to put in place some relief programs, but they wanted to discuss other things to help the community. They focused on the business community, senior population, and then there is an initiative to support our local restaurants. At future meetings, they will be considering other groups or segments of the population. And so it's good we're having this discussion because we really do want to hear where are the pain points, what can we do to help, and also what can we do to kind of leverage the city's resources. Obviously, we don't have an unlimited amount of money or staff resources, but we do have some, and we would like to know how we can leverage that for the best of the community. One of the programs that was put in place is the Small Business Resiliency Grant Program. And if you go to our website and in the search bar, if you type in Small Business Resiliency Grant Program, it will bring the landing page up that talks a little bit about the eligibility, talks about the submission requirements, and so on. Basically, City Council allocated some money, and it was non-tax money. It was money to be used for economic development activities and other things in the community. Um, we are offering grants to businesses with 25 or fewer employees, and also restaurants of any size employees, as long as they're independently owned. And we got a number of applications yesterday. We're going through the applications just to see if everyone is eligible, and we will be pretty much making determinations today and tomorrow. The goal here was really to get funds into our businesses' hands, so that they can avoid layoffs, maybe help with some of the commercial rent, or utilities. And so we really focused in on those three things. So it's rent, payroll, and utilities. The requirements for someone to be eligible or business to be eligible, I talked about the size. Must have a facility located in Foster City. You must have a current Foster City business license. And we really wanted to focus in with at least this tranche of funding on our small businesses. So we're looking for businesses with less than 2.5 million in gross receipts per annually. There's a form that you fill out that has you demonstrate that there's a loss of revenue of 20% or more. And if awarded, we would ask for a W-9, federal tax ID, all of the normal things that we ask for. So that it's a pretty simple process. All of the documents are there for people to take a look at and apply. We have a link to the submittal form, so everything can be downloaded or filled out electronically and also submitted electronically. Our goal is really to review the applications, if they're approved, to get back to the businesses and dispense funds into their business accounts within 48 to 72 hours. Now, with this, our council realized that this is just a stopgap. It's really to make sure that we can have some businesses stay afloat until they're able to take advantage of some of the other resources and programs. Holistically, we really want to have some partners to work through all of the processes. Joanna and I talked a couple of days ago about what type of networks can we develop to help people really navigate through the mountain of programs and forms and regulations. Some businesses are very sophisticated and don't need any assistance. And then there are some that do need some assistance. And how can we help those people? We're looking at some of the larger issues. And again, this is a conversation that Joanne and I had, and that we're hearing about more and more, are the challenges with our banks and our lending institutions, even when you do apply for these programs. And then how do you set up a system or network of advisors? If people need advice, whether it be legal, financial, HR, we really are interested in developing that system, because we think that that's what it's going to take for our businesses to fully recover. We're heading into a recession. I mean, there's no doubt about it. At least in all of our lifetimes, nothing like this has happened where the entire economy stops. And so it's going to be a long road to really get back to normal. And so we're here to help. This is just one of the programs that we're rolling out. We just want to indicate that we are ready and willing to be partners. We don't have all the answers. We do need partners, and we're glad that the chamber is putting this together. This is exactly what we need to kind of drill down to see how we can help and how we can leverage the money that we have, or the resources that we have. The second program that the City Council approved was a program for a application support local app. We have an app where it's a loyalty app, and if you utilize restaurants located in Foster City, and those restaurants are participating with us, after so many visits, you would receive a voucher or a discount. We're going to be providing discounts through the application, through the Stamp Me application, and I can send you guys the link for that, for participating restaurants where people, while they're sheltering in place, they would get a voucher to visit one of the participating restaurants here in Foster City. That way, we like to recirculate the dollars here and help out some of our restaurants as we go. It's not a lot at this point, we realize that, but we're also looking to see how we can access other sources and resources. Doesn't only mean money, volunteership, partnerships, to really drill down, like I said, and get people what they need. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. I don't know if there's any questions, Joanne? Or from anyone?
Dan had me muted. Oh, the power of the pen. There's a lot of people who would like to mute me, Dan. Thank you for that, actually, Dante. That was a perfect overview. We do want to, this is all about questions, but I actually want to give everyone on this call some credit, and a lot of credit. Less than 2 weeks ago, you entrusted us at the Chamber to do our best to hear you, understand what you needed most, and to do what we could to advocate on your behalf. And our ability to convene you as a group has allowed us to be empowered to work on your behalf, and together with the city, this is just the first illustration of our ability to act together. And we hope that this was a very welcome, perhaps, response, because this was the #1 need that was expressed, at least to us, through the Chamber Cares Initiative, and what we had reviewed, the city and myself and the Chamber, in response to the survey requests. It should be known that the survey that you and others have participated in is still open and ongoing. The survey results have been shared throughout the county, and I believe that there are about 1,000 surveys that had been responded to, but Foster City had over 120 of those responses in less than 10 days. That's extraordinary. And that's because of the communication and the connection that we have established in just the last 2.5 weeks with each other. So for this, I'm not quite sure how Dan wants to run the next, but I want to make sure that we give every single one of the businesses on the call today the opportunity to tell us who they are, what business that they are representing, where and how the, if you will, the progress that has been made over the course of the last 2 weeks, what it is that they need from us today, or what they're taking advantage of, and how we can help and give everyone a voice. So Dan, I'm gonna let you.
All right, so how we'll handle this, everybody, is that you should have the raise the hand feature. If you wanna go ahead and raise your hand, I will go ahead and unmute you, and we will go from there, and you can talk about your business, talk about any questions you have, or some of the other items that Joanne was asking about. If you find that you don't have the raise the hands permissions, you can go ahead and use the reactions permission, which is at the bottom of the screen if you're using the computer, or I believe it's a swipe right on your phone, and just go ahead and give me either the thumbs up or the clapping emoji, and I'll know that you have a question. So whenever you guys are ready, go ahead and do that, and we will go through it.
Dr. Rebecca, why don't you kick us off?
Oh. Wait, she just asked me to, hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Dr. Rebecca, you're on live at Zoom.
Hi everyone. Um, sorry, we're like dealing with the dog and dealing with the babies.
Totally fine.
I'm extremely pleasantly surprised and very appreciative that Foster City Chamber has worked on our behalf. I know that most of the, if not all of the businesses at Edgewater are really suffering, including myself. You know, not seeing people since I think March 18th until probably the end of April is really affecting our livelihood, especially considering we all have families. I have an 80-year-old mother who lives with me. And so, you know, to completely shut down, and we see hundreds of people who are in pain every week, and to not be able to see them is not only detrimental to them, the community, and our office, you know, and everyone's, you know, not only them not being able to live pain-free, it's just as a whole, it's affecting the community. So in terms of us, you know, the assistance is greatly needed, considering I'm still paying 4 staff members full-time, even though we're not actually seeing patients. So I, you know, my staff are like family. I don't want to let them go. They wouldn't be able to survive, they said, on unemployment with the amount that they would get. They've already checked. So, you know, I've already dipped into the savings, slowly dissipating. So any type of grant would be greatly appreciated and warranted, because I really, how are they going to survive if I don't pay them? They literally would not be able to buy food. They would not be able to pay their rent. So I just can't do that to them.
Well, thank you for the comments. Obviously, we can't do this alone, and that's, I think, been one of the, perhaps it's the best illustration of what we can do when we're working together, understanding exactly what it is that you guys have needed. It's not for us to choose the priorities. We wanted to hear what it is that you need, that what each of you feels you need for your own lives and your own businesses. And Dante has been fused at my hip and has been just an awesome partner with us. And Sam Hindi, you know, Councilmember Hindi and Vice Mayor Gihani, as members of the subcommittee for economic development and sustainability, have really been hearing us. And, you know, to be able to see that we've been able to bring this process from a express need all the way through to a deliverable that is an actionable solution is exactly what we are about. And perhaps it's new to some, and the gravitas of the intensity of these asks are much bigger, but whether big or small, this is what the ability to coordinate and our assets can do when we work together. So quick questions for you. You had been planning on applying to other relief opportunities. I'm assuming you've done that. Are there any quick learnings from that? Are you experiencing any issues with your banks not being able to, you know, furnish you know, fund the applications or processes? That's going to be something, perhaps it's a question to all. Dante alluded to it earlier. I have heard from several of you that your own banks are telling you that there's, if you will, additional details. You might have business banking, but you don't have a credit card. You may be, you know, have the credit card in a business bank, but you have to have an existing loan. There have been a lot of, if you will, ancillary details. We'd appreciate that if you're experiencing any of those, if you could either put them in the comments or send them to us, it will help us. If you can tell us the bank and you can tell us kind of the requirements that your particular applications are experiencing, that may be something that we can work with. Dante and I talked last week about, if this continues, perhaps as part of this network, we need to have an escalation process in place for ourselves with liaisons at each of those banks, because we too can't get through on the telephone or get an email returned. So we may, with the, if you will, weight of the city, and if you will, the audacity of our board, be able to influence getting a little bit of hand holding available to us in escalations, not for first calls, but in the escalation process.
All right, Danny Gordon has a question. Danny, you're unmuted. Go ahead.
Okay, hi, I'm Danny, and my wife.
Teresa's here too.
Yeah, so we're both business owners. We've been here in Foster City operating a business for over 18 years, total years 24. Our question is that we're both self-employed. So we don't have employees, but both of our salaries have been taken out because of the whole shelter-in-place order. We just need to, I guess we're in the same situation as everyone else is, but we are also customers of Wells Fargo, so we went through that whole ordeal, and I guess the restrictions have been lifted, so we did apply for that, but there's still a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah, it just said we applied to Wells Fargo last night because they lifted some of the restrictions, but it still said they wouldn't let us know. They would let us know in a few days.
Right.
So nothing really came out of that yet. It was nice to be able to actually fill something out though and send it in. It was kind of satisfying because before they just sent us to the SBA, they wouldn't help us at all.
Mm-hmm.
So even though we've been customers there for so long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 24 years.
It's nice to be able to connect with you all too. To me, it feels nice to be able to, listen to what others are going through and kind of bounce things off of each other. It really feels helpful. So I appreciate you guys doing this call.
Absolutely appreciate your comments. Couple quick questions, and then perhaps you can give us a few more details. So first and foremost, have you received the information related to the Foster City specific grants? Because you are one of the tenants and have one of the retail tenant businesses at Beach Park, and obviously would be one of the eligible businesses to apply.
Okay.
We did.
Yes, we did.
Applied last night.
Okay, great. Secondarily then, and perhaps Dan Demers could even offer some insights. The first tranche of money from the relief funds, and again, disclosure, not an expert, okay? Own my own consulting firm as well for the last 20 years, so I feel your pain. No client engagements at this point, so trying to be useful in my volunteer status on the board.
Sure.
So there are two tranches of money, if you will. The first set of applications was obviously from the SBA for small business, which has a very broad definition. The second tranche of money was to be a different, if you will, partition related to independent contractors, et cetera. So if Dan could chime in just quickly and give kind of an overview of what he has experienced in the process, there may be not only just an opportunity from the first applications that you guys have submitted, if those are unsuccessful, that there may be a secondary option for you to take advantage of, kind of flipping the entity, if you will, for your benefit.
Okay.
I've gone through the process multiple times, both for the PPP and the EIDL loan process, as I know another fellow board member, Nathan Tsai, has as well. And what I've learned is that when you submit both applications, you get a generic response, and it's nothing positive or hopeful. It's just a generic automated response. But what I've come to find out is that means that the application has been received and is put into a queue. And then the queue is assessed by one group of individuals that then prioritize or put you into a larger group or smaller group, depending on all different variables, which they were not sharing with me. And then from there, they are assigning them out to loan account managers. And then those loan account managers then turn around and reach out to you, the small business owner. But what I'm finding and hearing from multiple sources and clients is that because people are getting emails from a bank that is not necessarily someone that they're used to contacting, a lot of those correspondents are immediately going into spam. So whatever your bank is, if you go into your email protocols or settings, and make sure you take the end of that bank email, so like at Wells Fargo or at whatever, and make sure
Yeah.
you tell your permissions to allow all messages from that tagline. That will ensure that you're getting all the emails and it's not being thrown into spam.
Okay.
I know that there's been a lot of different, the protocols or applicable nature of applying for these grants changes daily based on bank and based on, like what Joanne was saying, the requirements to apply. As of 3 days ago, I heard that there were certain larger banks who had used up, quote unquote, used up their funding. But I don't, again, I have no, it's rumor mill at this point.
Yeah.
But we're all kind of functioning in that mill. So in the chat, we just, Nathan Sy did post that they reopened PPP loan program, Wells Fargo, yesterday. And he did apply, put the new link in there. So I've been kind of on my own side, I've been giving it about 2 or 3 days, and then I ping my banker and I just kind of go, haven't heard anything yet, just want to make sure everything's fine. You know, I don't have an application number, I don't have a submission number, anything like that. Whereas with the SBA, you immediately get a confirmation code and an application number. The PPP doesn't have that. So you can also ask your banker. What I found is you can ask them to annotate your account all the times that you call, just to confirm that you're confirming. Although it's redundant, you now have a record, you know, and I'm telling everybody, keep your own record as well, of when you call, who you talk to, and just kind of annotate and keep it all in a, you know, a PPP file or banking file.
No, that's good information.
Thanks for that, Dan.
No problem.
I was going to say, the main thing that has been kind of heavy on our minds is that we're self-employed. So we're not independent contractors. We're not employees. We own the business and we work here. And I just feel like we weren't sure if we actually qualify for any of these because they keep talking about employees and independent contractors. And we're like in a little bit of a different category, and they kept saying we had to wait until the 10th before we could apply. And I don't even know if that's still something that we need to, we're not waiting, we're just applying. So is that something that we should?
Yeah, that's why I was sharing with you my experience, because I'm a single member LLC. So I am the company, if you will, and the business has always had a subcontractor model. So the opportunity there is to do your best. And I think, I mean, I haven't even so, you know, pot calling kettle black, do as I say, not as I do. I'm glad that you guys have worked to make a submission and application for the first round. Let someone else, and this is the message to everyone, let someone else turn you down. Don't turn yourself down, because if you're gonna get denied, you're gonna get denied. Right?
Okay.
So take advantage of the first, and if that one doesn't work, then go to the second. Okay. How about we hear from Lena? I think you're in here somewhere. Barbaria, perhaps you've been one of the more actively engaged in this process, literally from the beginning. You could probably teach us all a few things, but help us understand kind of where you are with your business, the processes that you've been going through, and if you have had the opportunity, I know you have, to look and take advantage of the grant money that the city has made available, and how is that going to be helpful for you?
Lena, you're unmuted.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Lena, and for those of you who don't know, my dad, Terry, who is also on the line, but I'll be representing today, Terry owns Barbaria Salon, and this is our family business. And I tend to be the person that handles the business side of the business. Barbaria has been in Foster City since 1978. So I think that's what, 42 years now? Basically, we had to close down completely because the SIP order from the county, and then afterwards the governor, deemed hairdressers non-essential, but also it would definitely not be possible to observe 6 feet of distance in the work that we do. So we basically just had kind of a falling off of the ledge moment, starting on the 16th when the order went into place. And my role has been, first and foremost to, essentially temporarily close the business. And then from there, find out, what to do next. Originally, when we thought that we were going to reopen on the 7th, we thought that this was going to be a very temporary thing, and we were kind of able and equipped to deal with that type of a closure. But once it got extended and now it's indefinite, this is a whole new ball game. And so I personally am just grateful that the chamber has been here, because had they not been here, I would not know what to do. We are a very independently run type of business. We've always kind of done things on our own and just kind of figured things out for ourselves. But this is completely new territory, and yeah, it's just been crazy. So I want to first and foremost just say that for all of you who have not yet been participating in these meetings, if this is your first meeting, or if you have not yet used the chamber as a resource, please use them. Joanne has been amazing. They're here, they're on our side, and they're doing everything in their possible, all the bajillion molecules in their bodies to help with this. So I just can't say enough of how grateful that we are from Barbaria for it. And this new funding is really cool. Yes, it's not all the money we need, and yes, it's not going to get to everybody, but it's a first step. And I think it's very obvious that it's just
Oh, we lost you, Lana. Nope.
Am I still here?
There you are.
Oh, sorry. I
You're
keep
okay.
getting a thing that says my connection is unstable. So I'm sorry about that.
Totally.
So
Let
yeah,
me ask, thank you for those comments. Let me ask you a
Sure.
question, Lena. One of the things that, and Dante, I think that this will be important if you can, for us to understand collectively. One of the reasons that the city has really jumped into this process, obviously, is the need and sustaining our own community. But we were looking at this as a bridge. So we had presumed that the timetable for the application process and any level of funding from any of the available, SBA, federal relief was going to take a little time to get going. And we wanted to find a way to have some cash to, if you will, at least allow your operations or yourselves to stabilize during that period of processing. What is the feeling that you each have with respect to kind of the timetables? This 1 month, this grant, if you will, is it going to allow you for some of the key, the essentials to be able to maintain and build you that bridge? Or are you looking at this bridge as being much shorter than originally anticipated at this point?
for me, it's a short bridge, but I'm going to take what I can get. We've got, so as far as the PPP loan, let's all agree that I don't even think the government really knows what they're doing. And so this is just, a minute to minute, hour to hour, day to day process where I think everybody is trying to navigate and figure it out. And it's very frustrating, but to automatically assign the blame to your banker or it's not going to be productive. What I do know is that nobody has received funding in my sphere, whether that be locally in the Foster City or in my hometown, the small businesses here. I haven't seen anything. I do feel like it's going to take a lot longer than they anticipated. We applied for the SBA loan almost 2 weeks ago. We have not heard anything.
Really quick, let me also make a comment about that, because I found something new out 2 days ago, or yesterday rather. It was made aware to me through other contacts within our surrounding cities that anybody who applies for the SBA loan, the EIDL loan at this time, they are doing the $10,000 cash advance on that. But what they don't tell you is you have to call, give them your application number, and request it. So if anybody has submitted the EIDL loan paperwork and gotten their application number, please just call the 1-800 number. I will try and pull it up and put it in the chat for everybody. But call them, give them your account number, and let them know that you are looking for that $10,000 quick cash or advance that is available. And just a reminder from the verbiage that is on the SBA website, the $10,000 is a rush cash stimulus. It is worked into the loan if you are approved. If you are denied, the $10,000 is used as a stimulus package and forgivable portion of the loan. Okay, so just you brought it up, and I was like, it pinged a memory.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate that, because I was told that in order to get that $10,000, I had to reapply. So I will definitely be making a call today to find out what needs to be done. I will let you know a couple of things that I've done. When the PPP loan came out, we bank with Wells Fargo. Monday morning, it was already shut. And I went and raised a big stink. I was not able to get a hold of any bankers in Foster City, so I went to my local branch and actually kind of worked my way up the chain and started talking to the regional manager, who did advise me that they reopened it yesterday afternoon. So if you're from Wells, then you can go and apply. Another resource I found from our accountant is Fountainhead Bank. I am not endorsing this bank, but they do they are offering a form that you can fill out, put in some basic business information, and they will get back to you. So I've also put in my information there, because to me, as many places as I put my information is fine. Whoever comes to me first can be the person to give me the loan. I don't see there's any harm in kind of just filling out that interest form multiple times. I've also done it with US Bank. US Bank is currently helping their account holders first. Chase is currently helping their account holders first, and Bank of America is currently helping their account holders first. So those are all of the banks that I researched and talked to people. So if that's at all helpful, then good.
Absolutely, very helpful, Lana. And the one you didn't mention is Citibank, which is mine, which still doesn't even have their system up and going for me to even be able to get an application. So I feel all of your pain, I assure you. Couple points, actually, can by a raise of hands or some level of reaction, sorry, I can't even speak this morning, apologies. How many of the businesses that are on the call this morning are from the Edgewater Plaza in particular? If you could do that, the reason I am asking, and Dante, I'm gonna ask if we can unmute Dante while we have this conversation. One of the top 3 items and I'm sorry, I'm hard to read chat and the reactions. So what are we looking at? 4, 5?
2, 3, yeah, 4 or 5.
Okay. One of the top 3, if we can pivot for a moment, because I'm sure this is a question on everyone's mind for this call. One of the top 3 needs that the businesses in particular at Edgewater have been expressing, but that has been expressed to us from other of our commercial centers as well, is another stopgap, if you will, option, which is the request to get any level of city support as it relates to a commercial eviction moratorium. I know that the discussion was happening at the Board of Supervisors level. Dante, I don't know if you have any additional information. It was an item that was raised as part of the comments and remarks made by the Chamber of Commerce Monday evening to the city. But if you have any updates on that, again, just thinking of it as a tool for the bridge that the businesses need, we'd appreciate that update.
So it's something that we've been working along with the county in trying to get a moratorium on commercial spaces. There's been some challenges. Some cities who tried to do it have been threatened with litigation. The city of San Mateo actually went out on its own and put a moratorium on rents for commercial properties also. I don't know how well that's working. We're still discussing it. It would be best if the county would have a moratorium over the entire county. And that would include all cities, and so the city wouldn't need to take any action. It's something that's being discussed, but there are some legal issues and liability issues with that. So it's something that's being discussed. I just don't have a definite answer of what city council is going to do with that. I do know that they're looking to establish some more substantial programs, not necessarily with city funds, because again, we will go through a deficit also. We actually have a shortfall of $3 million for this year. But is there an opportunity to maybe partner with lending institutions, CDFIs, to get some assistance that is really focused towards Foster City? We're also looking at establishing a revolving loan fund because some people are going to need more than $10,000 essentially to get things back up and running until they fully recover. And so those are being looked at. We're looking at some of our larger businesses or some philanthropists to really work with us to establish those funds. We should have more information about that. We're working on it now, but give us a week or so and we should be able to report out on both of those things and see where we are.
Appreciate that, Dante. Couple quick comments, and then I think that there are some things in the chat before we get too far that I want to be able to do on the same subject. One of the additional
before two things that just kind of occur to me, and maybe this is something we can do in working and talking with the management companies and the owners of these centers. You know, is that something that we can work together in trying to put together some deal? That's something where if we can leverage our influence and our resources, I think that would be beneficial. And the second thing, you know, maybe we escalate this discussion about the banking industry to our Congresswoman and maybe have a virtual meeting where she can hear directly from our businesses. I just think that that's a serious issue that we need help with right away.
You literally, okay, I think I'm actually scared because those were the 2 points that I was actually going to make. Okay, I don't know if mind melding between the two of us is comforting or terrifying to people, but that's exactly it. Yeah. The reason I was going down that path is, again, based on the feedback that we've received from all of you on this call as well as others, if the moratorium is something that could not be put in place as a tool, was there a different way in which we could, if you will, advocate for you? And Dante and I had talked a few days ago look, there are certain things that our team, myself, I mean, for God's sakes, Rika's on the call today as a real estate professional. We have, you know, Ethan, there's a lot of talent, if you will, on the board to be able to lend to, if you will, having, let's just say, successful negotiations with management, but to be able to have those conversations at the table with a partner from the city and to aggregate them, so it's not simply, hi, we're here for X or here for Y, but to say, sit down at a center, proactively have a conversation. I have been unabashed with my requests of the city. Even Dante, I have said to him, look, is there a compromise? If we are able to get to the owner and management, is the city willing to, if you will, kind of do a match? Some things that Bart Charlo and I have learned from fundraising. If we can find one partner to, if you will, create a stakeholder position, perhaps we can find others to match. So if the city and chamber can work together in that regard, understanding the needs and the priorities of each center would be beneficial. So I would ask that any of you, I'm going to actually just tap Lena to be the primary, because we've been having the most detailed exchanges, but anyone from Edgewater, if you can put down, if you can work with each other to understand the tenant needs specific to the owner, then what we can do is Dante, I, and other members of the board, as they wish, can participate in a very specific call about what would the asks be with respect to commercial managers and or commercial center owners, so that we can put some thoughts to that. Then Dante can work with the subcommittee to determine the extent of the reach that the city is comfortable in engaging in, and be able to understand the parameters based on the various requirements and if you will, constraints that the city may have in certain of those instances, and allow us as the chamber to determine how we can best work with you from there. The biggest one, I think, though, is really this banking industry. If we are looking at this point, I don't know if others of you belong to other chambers of commerce. It would help us understand how this chamber is relating to others. I feel like we're staying in step with others, but if there is a voice that can be leveraged from this chamber and our city with Congresswoman Spears' office, we've been attending town halls with her as well, and she's been learning, but it hasn't been a express understanding, because the people on the calls have been more of, let's call them the management as opposed to the applicant. And if we can pull together a call, literally just a small private call, to understand what's happening within the nucleus of Foster City, I have no doubt that Dante would be able to arrange that literally momentarily for us, to be able to give each of you a prescriptive voice directly with the Congresswoman, so that she has the details of what she needs to make the actions happen. As she learns them, she has really been tapping in, and we can include Sam Sita on that call. So the San Mateo Economic Development Association, who generally joins us, but today, and I believe a point that Mara was either raising in chat or not, is actually actively working on one of the third tranches of money that is yet to be released from the San Mateo County Strong Fund. And I'm gonna let Mara speak a little bit about that. But if that's helpful, and the types of things that would be really beneficial to helping you all get to some next steps and some, I hate to say it, almost in-kind relief, I don't know how else to specify it. Those are the types of things that we'd like to understand and learn to see if it's of value to you.
So just to piggyback on what Joanne was saying, we have partnered with SamSita very closely, as they have definitely taken kind of the lead with the county in terms of business resiliency. So as Joanne said, they're actually on a call simultaneously right now, working with the San Mateo Credit Union to determine the application process for the funding from the San Mateo County Strong Fund. So that's a county level grant program that is in the works. So, you know, please keep your eyes out. We'll definitely blast it out there as soon as we hear anything more concrete. But I know that they're working very hard to try and make the application process as streamlined and efficient as possible. So we don't have the details for what the application process is, what the eligibility is, but all that will be coming. So that's just another avenue for some immediate relief in the county level. So stay tuned.
Thanks for that, Mara. I want to, let's see, who can we hear from? Jackie, thanks for joining us today. How are things going with your business, and perhaps catch us up?
Hi, I'm so sorry. I just finished shopping. Can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Well, we're open. Olives and Foster City Edgewater Shopping Center. We're open, but you know, it's we're struggling. We're down, you know, 70%. I don't even know why we're. I mean, I'm happy to be open for the very few orders that we get for takeouts, but it's very hard. We still have the same rent, we still have the same bills to pay, and so I have one staff, one cook, and me, and we're just barely making enough just to pay him. So yeah, we're all struggling.
Completely understand.
So this will definitely help.
And Jackie, what business are you with again?
With Olives, Mediterranean, and Greek cuisine.
I know exactly who you are. Thank you.
So Jackie, a couple quick
so
questions.
when I heard about this grant in Foster City, I mean, that's probably the closest thing that we'll be able to get if we do, because I'm not getting any help with Citibank that we bank with, and everything else with SBA. Back from them, and I don't feel like we're any closer to getting any help.
Okay, so a couple of things, because the connection's a little unstable, so I want to make sure that we can understand. So you've applied, and maybe it's reactions. You're at Citibank, so at this point you have no tools in which to even be able to start. Want to make sure though that you are connected to the chamber, that you've since seen from the resources that are available from the Jump page. We are partnered with SAMCETA. We're trying to keep information available as current as possible. When we learn something, we push it out, make sure that you're getting all of those communications. And if I heard you correctly, you were able to receive the grant program from Foster City, and hopefully have applied for that, correct?
I sure did yesterday.
Great. Then additionally, I want to make sure that you've seen that the chamber has basically secured some resources to build social media for every single business that is open. We have somebody literally building these things and rolling them out as quickly as possible. And so we've been doing our best to highlight and promote each of the businesses, including Olives and others. So if there are adaptive hours or services, please make sure that you're emailing and updating that, to Mara, and that we can build that into the lists, that we have.
Okay.
As it relates to, the challenges, for those of you that own restaurants or food service based businesses, it would be good to know how many of you actually are kind of certified, if you will, to do prepackaged, takeaway, one of the things, and I see, I'm looking for Bart's head again, one of the things that we've been trying to understand is if there is an opportunity to be able to leverage our local businesses in food service with FDA certifications to participate in being able to provide any meals for any of the needs in the greater community, not just Foster City, but the county. Bart Charlo is the CEO for Samaritan House. He is also, I'm gonna let him give the proper language. He's also, if you will, kind of the organization that has been identified by San Mateo County Strong to, if you will, administer monies from the San Mateo County Strong Fund to be able to get meals and services to individuals and families. And I know I'm not doing it justice, but to individuals and families. So one of the conversations that he and I started this morning was, let's find out who the businesses are in Foster City that either have access to refrigerated trucks, have the ability to retool members of their staff for food service delivery to various areas in the county, and or prepared foods. There may be an opportunity. Capital may be an opportunity for us to explore in being able to partner with San Mateo County Strong through that nonprofit network that may allow an opportunity for our restaurants, if you will, and I'll just use that at a categorical level, to participate. Bart, is there anything, I don't want to overstep, but is there anything to offer perhaps as potential additional places for us to find opportunity?
Well, am I on mute or am I? No.
Oh, you're good. I took care of you.
So let me first reiterate what's going on. You know, you do have funding coming through a variety of mechanisms, one being San Mateo Strong, another being Silicon Valley Community Foundation. And there are others, you know, who are raising funds to try and help people as individuals, but also businesses and nonprofits, you know, get through this rough period. So we've been designated as the lead agency to get this distributed throughout the county. We are getting some funds from Silicon Valley Community Foundation for the help for individuals and households. But as of yet, neither mechanism has been set up completely to deal with small businesses and independent business operators. So as I find something out on that, certainly, you know, I will pass that along. In the meantime, if you are laying off staff, you are reducing hours, you are letting people go, and I know you really care about the people who work for you, then remember that Samaritan House and our partner in the core agencies are here to help you. So there is financial assistance available for people who are in dire financial straits. We're also getting the details on, you know, how they want that distributed, but those funds are being made available. And what you would do is just call Samaritan House and have people apply. You can't apply as a business, but your former employees or your laid off employees can apply, you know, for their households. There's also food available through our partnership with the food bank and with many of the grocery outlets. So, and we are at the rate of experiencing 50% growth every single week. That's 50% on last week's 50%, on the prior week's 50%. I don't think it's technically geometric progression yet, but it sure is an awful lot of need. We're able to meet those needs for those individual households. And I want to make it very clear that these are not in competition with our restaurants. We want our restaurants to stay in business. So this is for those who have no other access to food and who can't pay for it at this time. So that's available as hot meals, it's available as pantry foods. All they got to do is apply to Samaritan House and we'll get them set up and we'll get it going. And it takes a lot of volunteers and help from the businesses, especially those who have FDA approved ability to prepackaged food. If you want to donate that, you want to get that out, people want to volunteer. Again, we're your central resource for that. I think the idea that started to float around, some by cities, some by chambers, that funds might be made available to purchase foods from our local restaurants as an example of keeping businesses afloat is a terrific idea. So we have been supporting that wherever we can. So far, that's been done in a limited basis. I don't yet see that the third tranche of money that's supposed to be available through San Mateo Strong or any of the other sources for small businesses has been directed in that way. But taking that feedback from all of our fellow chamber members, from all of you, then I'm going to give that to them and suggest that they look at that tranche in terms of that. Now, obviously, that's there to support more than just the restaurants, so there'll be other interests. But knowing that this is a need, knowing that some of you can respond to this, that helps me in informing them. Again, if there are any service needs you have, along food, shelter for people, access to shelter, rental assistance. We do have medical care still. Our 2 clinics are open for people who do not have insurance. Then just let me know and we'll see what to do from there. I don't know what kind of time frame you've got, Joanne, but I just said a lot, and I'd like to know if there are any questions that people may have.
Yeah, no, I absolutely appreciate that. I want to do a couple housekeeping checks because we're prepared to stay open. I think we've got this line open until 11:30. If this conversation is valuable for folks, whoever can stay, please do. Bart, I know that you've been on with us what seems like all morning. If you need to jump off, I'd like to double back with you so we can craft what that message is and leverage some resources perhaps when the message is sent up. So if you can stay on, great, and if not, we can follow up directly following. I know Rika has a question as well, but I wanted to be able to do a time check because there are a couple other businesses in particular, waterfront, et cetera, that are relevant to this existing conversation. And if we can stay on, we'll keep the conversation going. And Rika, is the question or comments to this topic or a different one?
Just before that, Joanne, I'm gonna have to leave for another meeting, but I will follow up with you. I just wanted to say I appreciate being invited to this discussion. I know that you guys are facing some challenges and we're committed to doing what we can to kind of bring us all through this. So thanks to the Chamber, thanks Dan, thanks Joanne, and we're all in this together.
Thank you for your help, Dante. We'll be talking soon.
Okay, thanks.
I don't want to skip over anybody, so if I can just get a confirmation. Rika, is the question, should we address it now or should we go to waterfront and continue I'm not sure where the topic is. Okay, then if you don't mind, I want to make sure that Isam or Anwar, that you have an opportunity to chime in and continue the dialogue. I know that as part of the Edgewater family, you're experiencing a lot of the same challenges, but help us understand how this is impacting the business and what you've done and where there's potential, what are the highest priority needs for you all?
Hello guys, am I on?
Yes,
you are.
Hello guys, thank you for everything you guys are doing for us. I mean, as you guys know, we also got affected by this badly. We're operating only 10% of our business and we're barely making it here. We tried, like everybody else, to do the bank loans, and like everybody said, it's hard to get in touch with all the people from the banking office, and the emails are not clear. It's just been very, very hard to try to get any help from the, I guess, the federal loans or whatever it is. And I mean, we're willing to work with the city and the chamber in any way to make this better for everyone. I don't know what else to say. I mean, everybody already mentioned what's going on with the loans. So, I mean, we have nothing else to say, really.
Do you have, appreciate that, Isam. I know it's been hard with both of the businesses that you own. How, do you have staff, kind of the conversation we just came out of, are there different ways in which Waterfront may be able, is interested to engage in the conversation about, I don't know if there's delivery opportunities, food service opportunities, et cetera. If that's something that you wish to explore, do let
Yes,
us
for
know,
sure.
and okay, then we'll keep you in those conversations. Rika, where did you go? There you are. You're on mute though.
Go ahead, you're up, Rika.
I was just wondering, I had mentioned this earlier in the morning meeting that the Foster City Lions Club has put together a donation to benefit restaurants in Foster City. They said specifically an emergency operations center and first responders. Are any of the restaurant owners here, are you guys participating in that? I just learned about this yesterday. And so as far as what Joanne has been talking about, I think we need to bring our resources together collaboratively to help each other. So just curious if any restaurant owners are taking part in this and how it's working for you guys.
I'm going to jump in and say I don't assume that there is a large aggregation yet, if that's the correct word. One of the things that Rika, in her kind of capacity as one of our board directors, is going to be doing is working with us to figure out how we can create. Let's go back on mute if we can. Not sure which phone that is. To be able to come up with a program perhaps I've seen in other communities, like Las Vegas actually in particular, interestingly enough, has done a phenomenal job in creating a campaign around, if you will, supporting emergency responders. So I think that there will be several of the nonprofits that we'd like to pull together. Obviously, the chamber has one member of staff, Mara, and the rest of us are doing what we can to hold these pieces together so that I think when we finish this call, Rika, you and I can jump on one with Dan and Mara to discuss how we can go about which organizations and create a connection, because everyone is wanting to do something, but the real question is are we doing what the needs are first? And if there are ways that we can leverage those opportunities, I think between the Rotary, the Lions, and the Village in particular, they're all touching on certain of the same, if you will, communities. And if we can pull them together and give and find out which of those agencies which want to take the lead in each of the lanes, then I think we can really scale the great ideas that are coming together. So I look forward to us being able to work on that. We have about 10 minutes left, and I'm looking through the squares. This is a crazy process. And I see that we have Peter's iPhone, and candidly, I do not know who Peter's iPhone belongs to. And I see Lynn Fan, I'm not sure, and the only other individual that I don't think we've given a voice to is Janet. So if any of those three would like to chime in, now would be the time. And otherwise, I want to be able to provide some additional resources to you that we're going to be pushing out through our channels, and just want to use the last few minutes that we have together as best we can. Okay, Peter is from the Dozo. And so Peter, I don't know if you and Carol have any comments. I know you've been sharing with us some of the experiences that you've been having with your own bank. You too have been a part of the social media and spotlights that the Chamber's been doing. Are there any other things outside of the conversation that we've been talking about today that are priorities for you right now?
Yes, am I?
You're on, Carol.
Okay to talk now?
Mhm.
Okay. I just want to share with you, I think I've been through a couple of applications already. So if anybody wants to know more about the EIDL loan and advance request and PPP application, I study a lot. I spend a lot of time studying those. And at this point, I think we're the first, one of the first few applicants that got into the EIDL. We got approved, waiting for the closing and funding in the near future. And that's why I got information from our case manager saying the advance request up to $10,000 is actually a separate loan on the top of the EIDL. And the fact that we got approval for EIDL doesn't, we cannot ask for advance requests, simply just, call them or asking for it. You have to go through the separate link to get that. And then at this point, we heard nothing for that advance request yet, up to 10,000 like everybody else. And the main roadblock that I have is a PPP loan. I applied actually both from Wells Fargo Bank and US Bank. And Wells Fargo Bank, I was also, almost the first few one that jumped into it Saturday early morning. But since then, I heard nothing. And so that's kind of disappointing. For US Bank, I applied, they got the email notify us that they only process single owner business at this point. They cannot accept the multiple owners. We're a C Corp and that has more than one owners for the business entity. So for that, they, I would not say they stopped processing it, but they are not going forward at this point. So that's why I asked question to see if anybody knows that, any other lenders that accept, any application at this point that's not their customers.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that very much. I think what we're going to do, and I'm just trying to think out loud and on demand, but what I'm hearing, and probably to help streamline this process, and I'm looking at the square that has Dan Demers in it, to be able to create a forum for you all to share with us the, let's say, the obstacles that are being put in your path. So if you are willing to share with us, not the gory details per se, but who your bank is, what you're hearing, what the restrictions, the pushbacks, if you will, we can really start aggregating the issues related to the banks and the process versus business and, if you will, management and owner. And you can either send that to us in email, but honestly, if you could really help us and simply reply, we're not trying to survey you to death by any means, but a simple question and allow that to just be captured, that might be the most efficient process for all of us to then be able to share the summary of that detail. Two key things that I want to make sure that, that we are addressing. We are going to need to find a way to scale these types of discussions and engagement. Any of you who are either willing to be a part of a quasi-volunteer network and or know of resources, let's start thinking about who and how we can build. Some of you have really great experience at this point in simply just understanding the process. I know Nathan has done applications with just about every lender that there is. And I know Lena has been doing the same. So we might be able to really leverage those experiences, turn them into some case studies that we can push out for people that are starting to follow behind or reference. We are going to put together some resources. There's so much information. I don't know how easy it is for each of you to be able to decipher through that. So I believe that Mara, whichever square she fell into, is working on creating some very small and discrete packages. So what could be small business advising resources, and sharing the details with you from the Small Business Development Center and SCORE, and the resources that have been put in place from the county and others for legal and HR to be able to at least tap into. I think Lena and the Barbaria was one of the ones that had said before, look, people aren't responding, but at least if you have more places to reach out to, perhaps you have a higher probability of being able to get your very specific questions asked. Let's see, I lost my train of thought. One of the last pieces that we want to make sure is, are these channels continuing to be beneficial? Can you help us be ambassadors in each of the centers that you are in? Obviously, we are just, if you will, a sampling of the issue, but the easiest way for us to get through this is to bring and get everyone to the same level in this process and carry people forward at the same level. Each of you need to prioritize your own business, obviously, absolutely. But wherever you are willing to engage with the chamber to almost be an ambassador for your center, to make sure that folks are connected to the resources that we're making available, on the calls, taking advantage of the programs and communications that we are doing our best to put in place, would really be helpful to us, because we're doing our best to reach out, but we don't know, if everyone is being, is taking advantage of that. Your help would be appreciated. I want to leave some final comments for everyone. Bart, one of the things, if we can do in a communication other than the listed to-dos, is I don't think everyone really understands that core agency element. That might give a little bit more personal flavor, because I believe that businesses in Foster City are already donating, excess food or whatnot, and had existing relationships. They might not realize that those relationships that they already had are a part of this process. So maybe we can carve that out a little bit more expressly with names of entities, so that they can see, oh, hey, I've already been working with that organization. Let me reach out to my partner. Dan, I'm sure I have been not doing a great job on chat. Are there any questions at this point that we have not addressed in some way, shape, or form? Janet, are there some questions and comments for BIKEY that haven't been addressed yet, and or specific to Beach Park that we can address in the next minute or two? If not, we can do so offline.
Janet, you're off mute. Go ahead.
Yes. Because I'm running a tutoring center for kids for language tutoring. For long-term view, because the school district closed up to the summer. So yeah, thank you for the relief found from the city. But for long-term view, I'm still not sure how much business I can be recovered. So do you have any long-term plan from the city side to help us, more communication from the landlord, because the most cost for us is the rent. So we cannot afford the rent for, a few months.
Understood. So let's have a more specific conversation as it relates to your business after this call. But I think what you've been hearing while you've been on this call is that each of the centers is experiencing, the tenants in the centers are experiencing the same thing. And so I think together the chamber and the city really needs to have a conversation about what we can do center by center to put some opportunities in place. And I will take that and follow up with Dante Hall, the office of the city manager, as best as we can. If we can understand to the ask that I just had, Janet, if you can help us ensure that the rest of the tenants, if you will, that we have access to their emails and that we understand who they are, then we can make this conversation really beneficial. And we can even hold a Beach Park specific discussion if you want to help us take the lead on that. For now, I want to say thank you to everyone for bearing with us. We don't have all of the answers, but again, under the Chamber Cares Initiative, It can't be any more clear than that. We're doing our best to understand what you need and to respond to those needs in kind. And if there are any additional ideas, as crazy as you think that they might be, bring them on, because it gets really tough to keep thinking of new ways to approach some of these problems for you all, but we're willing to do so. So I'm going to say thank you for joining us this morning. Thank you, Dan, for managing chat and tech and all of the efforts that you have put into this process. Bart, thank you for bearing with us for the, I think, 4th hour for just a day. And I think we probably got another hour to go at some point during the day. But thank you, all of you. We know that the hardships that you're facing, just know that you've got somebody in them with you. And we will do our best to continue to do what we can to advocate for you. So thank you, and stay healthy. And let's do our best to keep our spirits high, and let's drive through this together. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.